Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to another episode of Pod Snipe Celly. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me tonight, Joel Fernino. Joel, it is 2023, first show of the new year.
Happy New Year to all, and to all not a good night. Good night, not as in a goodbye. Happy New Year.
There you go. Attaboy.
How's it going? How does it feel to say the words 2023 as opposed to 2022?
You know, it feels pretty good. I think there was absolutely no better way for me to ring in the new year than watching an Ohio State kicker miss a field goal that would have sent them to the national championship and just getting to absolutely revel in that misery. Then, of course, I had it all thrown back in my face the very next day with the Vikings-Packers game. We're not going to talk about that one.
Oh, I would love to talk about that one.
let me tell you, the video my fiance was able to grab a video of people at the casino where Ohio sports betting was just legalized. And the reaction as the ball is dropping on one screen and the field goal kicker is going on the other screen. And then there's one person who celebrates thinking that they made the kick and won the game, and then goes through the shocking realization of, oh no, they missed it. It was just delightful.
I'm like, I don't hate Ohio State. You live in Ohio.
Yeah, and I hate Ohio State. I have for years.
Okay. Well, I don't hate Ohio State. However, I was very ecstatic and cheered pretty loudly when he missed that kick by so much because I had bet Georgia on the money line, and I bet the over in a parlay, and it hit. Well, that part obviously hit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that one hit midway through the third quarter, I'm pretty sure.
I had Georgia winning, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. They're going to drive down the field, and as they're driving, I'm like, they're well within field goal range. Everyone's just like, I don't know, man. It's not the NFL. I'm like, nah, they're going to make the kick. And just Madden mode, just aim this way, kick. It was I'll take it.
HP coming to my defense. He is not from Ohio. You're darn
yes,
right.
He is. Yes,
Minnesota boy through and through. Recognize.
Yeah, hey, that hat spelled fraud wrong.
This guy, 9 fewer wins than my team, and he wants to trash talk.
A rebuilding team. Yeah, what do you expect?
Yeah, Vikings are rebuilding too. They're just more competitive about it.
That's hilarious.
Did you hear Kwesi at his introductory press conference? He said they're going to do a competitive rebuild. What's more competitive for a rebuild than being 12-4?
Yes, we're rebuilding when we have a pretty solid quarterback, when we have the best wide receiver in about multiple decades. An aging wide receiver, but an awesome Adam Thielen. You trade multiple draft picks for TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the league.
All part of the rebuild.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. HP backing me up here, too. He says, kick him off the pod. You know what? I think that's a good idea. We'll just do one of these real quick.
I apologize for everyone who has to deal with that.
For those who are listening on demand and didn't see what happened, I kicked Joel out of the room and wouldn't let him talk for a minute.
All you did was hide my screen.
It muted you.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Watch this. I'll do it again. See, he's muted. And now you're back. Yeah, that's about what I thought you would do.
For those listening on demand, I flipped him off.
Yep, that tracks. Well, if you have anything that you want to share with us throughout the show tonight, comment, prediction, spicy take, anything that you want, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a note in the comments below. We'll put it up on the screen, make it look all nice like what we've done for HP already. We are a viewer-driven show, and we try and talk about the things that you want to talk about and you want to hear us talk about. So let's start with some of the big news in the hockey universe, and that is that the Seattle Kraken will host the 2024 Winter Classic. They'll play the Vegas Golden Knights. You get the two newest teams in the league going head-to-head. You've got the geographic rivalry of the two. Joel, what was your reaction upon? I mean, I saw it on the video there, but just seeing the reaction. Did the NHL get this one right?
I hope that the on-demand people can hear me applauding, because you know what? He hasn't earned much kudos, but kudos Gary Bettman. He got this one very correct. This is going to be awesome. And this is coming from someone who whose hockey team was in 6 outdoor games over the last 10 years?
I think 12, something like that. 10, 12.
No, because our last one was 2019. So yeah, 6 over 10 years.
Yeah.
When we were in 4 Winter Classics, 2 Stadium Series games. We also went 1-5 in those games. And like I'm bringing that up because you need to start using more teams. I understood putting teams like, well, any original 6 team multiple times, especially the Hawks at the time, because they were the face of the NHL as a franchise. You got the Bruins and the Rangers who had been in a couple, and the Bruins just had theirs. Pittsburgh has been now in, is that 3 or 4 now, I think, for them as well, as of yesterday. I understand putting some of those really big market teams in the Winter Classic and then reusing them a bunch. They got it right a couple of years ago when they decided to do LA and Anaheim. That was cool. And was that a Stadium Series or was that a Winter Classic?
I think that was just Stadium Series.
Okay, then never mind.
But either way,
my fault. Right. They started to get a little better when they threw the Capitals in there, but again, they still had the Hawks in there, so you're still reusing teams a bunch. Finally, you are giving other teams a chance, especially to brand new teams. Like this is whoever is their marketing guy should probably be getting a raise for doing this.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about having it be the new teams and breaking away from the tradition, like what is the purpose of the outdoor game? I think it is to try and capture a new audience because hockey fans are going to want to tune in, period. The goal, the objective is to attract new fans. Mm-hmm. And what better way to do that than with the 2 newest franchises, a geographic rivalry. I think they really hit it out of the park on this one. I, at first, was a little bit disgruntled when I saw that was the matchup. My initial reaction, just seeing that they were going to have Seattle host it, before I saw that they were playing Vegas, I was like, what? Seattle is getting a Winter Classic before how many of these teams now? They have HP saying, yeah, they've used Fenway twice. Time for some fresh teams and stadiums. Yeah, I think there are other teams
they used Fenway twice.
Yeah.
I thought this was the first time it was at Fenway, but the last time it was in Boston, it was at...
You know what? You're right, because I'm looking it up right now. The other time was at Gillette Stadium.
Gillette, yeah. I was going to say, this was because it was a big deal.
No, I take that back. 2010, Flyers Bruins. Game went to overtime. Fenway Park.
That was at Fenway?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, so they've had 3 in Boston, and 2 of them were at Fenway.
Got it. Okay. Well, I actually do want to mention that Winter Classic really quick. I didn't get a chance to really watch it yesterday, just travel and such. But what I wouldn't give to have gone to that game, because to me, not being from Boston, and I'm not a big fan of all their sports teams, but I know how historic Fenway is. What I wouldn't give to watch a Winter Classic from the Green Monster.
Be pretty cool.
That would be badass.
Those probably had to be among the more expensive tickets, I would think.
I'd imagine, but
even being a little further away from the core of the action.
You're so tall and so high up, you have a better seat than some people that were. Anyway, finish your. I had to get that in there because that looked so badass.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking that some of the other teams that maybe might be, if you want to call them more deserving, because they've had to wait longer to try and get their opportunity to host. I do feel a little bad for those teams, but I think from a marketing standpoint, from a growth of the game standpoint, especially growing it in newer markets, and not only that, but Seattle is competitive. They were not particularly competitive last year. They are much more so this year. Give it one more year for Matty Beniers and Shane Wright to develop and bring their younger guys along. This is going to be a really, really good matchup next year. And you look at some of the scores historically on some of these games. We've had, 4 games of these Winter Classics that started in 2008, and 2 that were postponed, one from the lockout and one from COVID. But 4 of those games were overtime or shootout games. Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, you've still got a couple other 1-goal games in there. Like, for the most part, they've been really competitive games. This in particular jumps off the page as one that should be probably another 1-goal game, maybe an overtime type of game. You're giving the fans their money's worth with this matchup. So I think they nailed it. I think they absolutely got the right teams at the right time. And I'm excited for it. I will also say I did not get to watch yesterday's either. Unfortunately, I was working and couldn't have it on in the background or anything, just with what I had going on. But again, I mean, it's two teams that have both played in it before, with Boston and with Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has been in it multiple times as well. So it wasn't as was the word I'm looking for. It wasn't as appealing of a matchup, I think, this time around. For Boston and Pittsburgh, even though those are two very good teams.
Yeah, a 2-1 final is a little boring in my opinion. But
especially when you had 6-4 the year before in sub-zero temperatures.
Also, wow, the attendance was not that big.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the attendance. The attendance, I guess it's according to Wikipedia, but I'm assuming it's pretty easy to get that down. 39,243, which is a lot. Obviously.
And actually more than the last time that it was at Fenway. By about 1,000 more.
Yep, by about 1,000 more, and almost about 1,000 more than last year with the Blues and the Wild at.
Although I will say, for it to be that close and to have the temperature difference between those games being about 30 degrees.
I mean, yeah, and you and I have been to an outdoor game. We went to the Stadium Series with the Hawks and the Wild at TCF Bank Stadium, right? So
that game was fun.
That was a blast.
At that game, but it was like 20 degrees at that game last year.
It didn't feel that cold to me for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, HP. What about right on cue? How about a 7-2 final? Like how the Wild beat the Hawks in 2016.
Hey, that's funny because it wasn't 7-2. It was 6-1. Nice try.
Either way.
I mean, if you're going to post a comment, HP, make it accurate. And I was about to get there. You beat us 6-1. I still had a good time. Patrick Kane still scored on your asses and won the MVP. So I'll take it. I would like to see another Winter Classic like that's not close. It's a high-scoring game. Here we go. I want another Wrigley Field Winter Classic. Hawks Detroit 6-4. Like, that's a fun game to watch. Fun game. You're outside. You're at historic Wrigley Field. 6-4 goals. Like, that's cool. I'm hoping that's maybe what we get next year with Vegas and Seattle at T-Mobile Park, where the Mariners play.
So, Blackhawks 0-3 all-time in the Winter Classic.
0-4.
0-4. Hang on, what
we were in 4 Winter Classics. 09,
15, 17. 19. Yep. Yeah. 0-4. So, I'm going to ask you a very important question.
I'm listening.
Okay. The Blackhawks you can push the button. Yes or no?
Okay.
The Blackhawks get Connor Bedard in the draft.
Okay.
But from now on, every single game they play is outdoors.
Of course. Hell yeah.
You do it.
Let's do it. Hey, Soldier Field's going to need some use after the Bears move to Arlington Heights. So, hey, let's go.
That's true. And I bet their score lines will look similar in terms of point production between those two teams. So
no, because we'll have Connor Bedard.
That's why I say they'll look similar. Yeah. More a shot at the Bears than the Blackhawks, but
I got you. Well, hey, listen. We're rebuilding, man. we're a city of rebuilding teams right now. Outside of baseball, both the baseball teams should be fun to watch again next year, but we'll see.
And speaking of Connor Bedard, we would be remiss if we did not call at least a little bit of attention to the World Junior semifinals tomorrow. Sweden versus the Czech Republic at 2:30 Eastern. USA Canada at 6:30. Joel, give me your winners for both of those games. I didn't get to talk to you about this before the show. Sorry for springing it on you, but give me your real quick Spark Notes version of your picks for these games.
No, and actually, you got to mention too, Connor Bedard breaking the record for most points in a World Juniors by I think it's any player, right? Or was it by a Canadian player?
By any player.
By any player, right? Because before him, who did he just beat?
Well, he beat Gretzky, among others. That's what you need to know.
Yeah, you're already an elite company with that name. All right.
Yep.
Remind me again too. These are single elimination type games, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's single elimination at this point. So
that's
you
what I thought.
You got semifinals tomorrow, and then the finals on.
Do they still do? They do still do shootouts. In the juniors. Yeah.
Yeah. 5-minute overtime.
I haven't followed too much outside of U.S. and Canada, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and say Sweden takes that one because Sweden is just amazing at hockey.
They really are, but this Czech team is pretty good too. I mean,
that's what I've heard.
They've got a lot of guys who just are very difficult to play against and get under your skin and frustrate you into making mistakes. HP saying Lindros. Yeah, Lindros is another one.
I don't know. I don't know enough about Sweden or Czech. I thought I had heard the Czech Republic was a tough team. I don't know. I'll just say Sweden. I don't know personally. However,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say I could see that game potentially as an overtime game, and it would not surprise me. Sweden's goaltender, 9.42 save percentage, 1.79 goals against. Czech's goaltender, 1.39 goals against average, 9.35 save percentage. Probably going to be the lowest scoring game of the tournament. This could very easily be a grinded out 1-0 type of game.
Right.
1-0 or probably 2-1. If I had to bet money on it, my money would be 2-1.
Yeah, no, I get that. And then U.S. and Canada, again, the rivalry just continues. You love to watch it. It's going to be a fun game, I think, but it's pretty obvious that I think Canada absolutely takes it. I mean, aside from Connor Bedard alone will Canada to victory, like he just did in overtime the other night. That goal was,
that goal was insane.
I saw the best tweet ever for the video, and it was just, dude, just the confidence that you have to ooze to just have a 1-on-3 in the ozone, and for you to just be like, you know what, it's time for the game to end. Like,
he is an unbelievable. Like, it's his skating more than anything else that blows me away. Jesse chiming in, Connor who?
Jesse, get out of here, man! Stop hating on the skilled players, you hipster.
this guy.
So I got to.
You would have to put Conor McGregor on skates to get Jesse to give any praise to a player named Connor.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I am just blown away by this stat. USA's 2 leading scorers in the tournament, Jimmy Snuggerud and Logan Cooley. 10 points for Snuggerud, 11 for Cooley. Add their point total together and you get Bedard's production, 8 goals, 13 assists in 5 games. Like, I cannot get people to wrap their head around this enough.
The other thing too, Bedard's really. Thank you, HP. HP took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, you talk about his skating. His release is ungodly. Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you teach that? I don't know if you do. Like, you could teach release maybe, but his release is so special, and I don't understand how he gets these absolute beauty snipes off in the middle of a dangle. Looks like he was just standing there, nobody around him, and just rock it. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it again. If I understand there's a much higher chance that the Hawks don't get him than there is a chance they do get him, but even if they don't get him, I still might cry. Like, that kid is so fun. It was a little different with McDavid because we weren't in the running to ever even touch first overall back then. Now I might cry.
I want to see the USA-Canada game. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I almost want to see it go to a shootout just to see what move he does in the shootout. I almost want to see it. Remember earlier in the show when we asked about if there are spicy takes that you want to share?
Yeah.
We've got one.
Oh, we got one. Let's go.
It's from Jesse.
Jesse. All right, I got you. Dying on a hill here. Fantilli produces more his first year than Bedard. All right. I have thoughts.
Go ahead.
No, what were you going to say, though?
I was going to say, I really think that's so dependent on where they actually end up, because that's probably your number one and number two. There's, of course, an argument for Leo Carlson. There's an argument for Matvei Michkov. Do your homework. your homework is to look up Carlson and Michkov.
I can do that.
Who literally any other year would be going top two, but then they've got to deal with Fantilli and Bedard.
My Siri apparently wanted to chime in as well.
Siri makes an appearance on the show.
Siri, of course. My Google Home made an appearance last year. Siri's making an appearance now this year. Look at that. That is a very spicy take. And I, for one, let me get it out of the way. No. Just no. However, I had been listening to, one of our local hockey guys here that's, his hockey thoughts are awesome. You've seen me retweet him all the time. He's talked about like the difference between, he's a huge Fantilli fan, and I've watched some highlights of Fantilli as well, obviously, because if we're not going to get Bedard, I can at least hope to God we get Fantilli. And it's interesting because I think the only knock on Bedard is still to this day the stereotypical knock on hockey players. He's short. He's what, 5'10", 5'11", right? Connor
Bedard? 10? Let me check.
I think 5'10". I'm not.
5'9", according to Google.
Oh, 5'9". Okay, so maybe he's like 5'9.5". He's close to 5'10", whatever. So he's shorter on the shorter side. And of course, that stereotype for some reason refuses to die, even though we have you and I could name 5 players right off the top of our head that have put that to bed. And hell, two of them were my team. Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat. There's 2 right there for you. There's plenty more where that came from. Johnny Gaudreau, how tall is he? He's short.
He's I think 5'9".
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. There's 3 right there. So that stereotype needs to die, but that's a whole other episode. We could talk about that. Anyway.
Confirmed 5'9" for Gaudreau.
Okay. So there was that argument about Bedard, aside from obviously everything else, the skating, and that's the thing too. He can get drafted and he can bulk up. He can get stronger and still end up being that all around. He's not just going to be limited to like, all right, he's, this Pierre
HB throwing out another
PMB. I remember that name. But Fantilli, I know Fantilli. I've heard like he can just be that more all around, elite star player. He's going to get you points, sure, but he's also going to get you, he's going to battle in front of the net. He's obviously already a little bit bigger. He'll have some grit to him already too, right? Whereas Bedard would have to develop that. With all that being said, absolutely not, Jesse. Whatever you're smoking, send it to me.
HP with a good question here too. Do either of those players start the season in the AHL or right to the NHL? I think, well, for one, Bedard would be juniors if he was not going to start with the team. He'd go back to juniors, but he'll start in the NHL. Yeah. I really think Fantilli will too. He's absolutely tearing it up at Michigan right now. I just had it in front of me. Where is it? 16 games at University of Michigan. Fantilli has 11 goals and 15 assists. So, and that's in his draft year. So,
yeah, that's pretty easy for me. No,
yeah,
those two. The top 5 picks probably all end up in the NHL. That's just how deep this draft is, right? So,
at least a couple. I would think the issue with Michkov is getting him over from Russia, but will he be ready to play in the States? Might take a year if he If he comes over right away, which I would like to throw out there right now, I don't think happens. I think he spends at least one more year in Russia before coming to the U.S.
So that maybe
But if he does, yeah, he's probably playing AHL most of next season just to get used to North America in the game. But really good hockey player there too. I kind of think the same for Carlson. Those two are probably the two that are closest to NHL ready. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it, but it's tough to say. But I do think Bedard and Fantilli probably both start the year next year.
Yeah,
That's where they
and it's worth noting too, and I think everyone kind of knows this by now. Like 9 out of 10 drafts, Fantilli is probably first overall.
Yeah,
but then that's where if Bedard is not in the draft class this year, absolutely he's first overall.
This is very similar to McDavid and Eichel being in the same draft class, where Jack Eichel goes first any other year,
easily.
But up against McDavid, that's probably where it's at with Fantilli.
Right.
Let's get into another team that I know you like to dunk on, the St. Louis Blues.
I'm ready for this.
Joel about fell out of his chair when I pitched this as a show topic for him. Yep. He'll take any opportunity that he can get to dunk on the St. Louis Blues, who are really kind of going through it right now. The injury ringer, Ryan O'Reilly out until mid-February with a foot injury, broken foot. Vladimir Tarasenko out through most likely the end of January with a hand injury. Torrey Krug is out. Just the injuries really starting to mount up. And the Blues are falling way behind in the standings from where we thought they'd be. They are currently 17, 17-3, 37 points, fifth in the Central Division. They are officially out of a playoff spot thanks to the resurgent Seattle Kraken and the Edmonton Oilers hanging around at 42 points. In fact, right now, if the playoffs started today, the Colorado Avalanche are out. Miss it by a point.
That's what hangovers do to you, man, and injuries.
although I should check here, point percentage, they might have a shot, maybe. Point percentage, they sneak in over Edmonton, but
yeah,
those are your two teams who went to the conference finals last year, fighting for that last playoff spot. Worth throwing out there.
How the turntables?
Indeed. Joel, is St. Louis cooked? Do they need to pack it in here and start looking to next year and beyond? Especially knowing that Ryan O'Reilly, for example, in a contract year, this is going to take him out pretty much up until the trade deadline. It's going to be darn close for when he comes back.
Everything for now, biases aside, yeah, man, it ain't looking too good, man.
No.
They haven't, this. It's been this inconsistency this whole year. They started off okay, they're winning games. They're looking all right. They're, not going to contend for that top 1 or 2 seed. And then, now as of late, falling down, like you said, 17, 17-3. They are a minus 21 goal differential too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jordan Binnington.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. And you're stuck with Jordan Binnington, the top 5 douche of the league.
Is there a bigger crybaby in the league than Jordan Binnington?
No.
I'd really have to think about it, and I don't know that I'd come up with one.
Hard pressed to find one off the top of my head, and I don't think I can.
Yeah.
We used to always bash Sidney Crosby, but that's not a thing anymore. He doesn't really do it. He's matured. He's
No. I don't say this about Sid, at least. His antics were usually the result of him, getting hit or getting slashed. Binnington just gets mad because he sucks.
Yeah, Binnington just gets mad, and he doesn't want to admit
right.
that, he wants to pass the buck subtly. He's not going to maybe flat out come out and say it and start blaming other people, but he doesn't want to. He wants to place the blame everywhere else but himself. And hey man, when you have a toxic asshole like that in the locker room, it's not That's not a good recipe. I mean, yeah, maybe he's a good teammate to his teammates. I don't know. There's no reports that I've ever heard, outside of what we know and how much of a toxic asshole he is outside and on the ice. But aside from that, I mean, I think they have to consider it. They have to really consider looking to be sellers at the deadline, because you look up and down the standings. Who are they going to beat? How are they going to compete? Let's say they, squeak out some wins and they, sneak into that second wild card spot at some point, right? Like, who are they going to, what are they going to do?
If you're getting a wild card spot, assuming things hold right now, you're playing Dallas or Vegas in the first round. Pick your poison.
You're screwed. You're screwed. And I've always understood, and it's way more of a fact in the NHL than pretty much any other sport. If you get to the dance, that's all you need to do. Just get to the dance.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it plenty of times.
Blues proved that a few years ago when they did their worst to first run.
Right.
I don't see anything like that for St. Louis this year.
Yeah, they were built. They had the talent, and they were just awful the first half of that year. They still had the talent.
Yeah, needed a new coach.
That too, right? Yeah. And
things around in a hurry.
And as much as we hate Jordan Binnington, he came out of the blue and had an outstanding half of a season and playoffs.
A phenomenal run that he went on. Could have ended up with the Conn Smythe. Didn't, but certainly could have.
It's probably.
I want to follow up here by asking, assuming both players are healthy at the trade deadline, do the Blues move either Tarasenko or O'Reilly or both?
Yes. Now, which one? Most likely Tarasenko over Ryan O'Reilly.
Interesting. Go on.
How many years now? Has it been now 2, I think, maybe 2-3 years that we've been having these rumors that Tarasenko is going to get moved?
There's been talk of him wanting out since before COVID hit.
Exactly. And he's been riddled with injuries, I understand. But also things are not going well. He's not getting any younger. He's, 30? He's 30.
He is 31, yep.
31. Outside of injuries, I think the Blues would be hell. I don't want them to be smart, obviously, but I think they'd be smart to start shopping him around the deadline, because there's going to be teams that would be willing to pay a little bit of an overpriced price tag for someone as good as Tarasenko is, someone with as good of a shot as Tarasenko has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for what it's worth, when he's been healthy, excellent production.
He's still third. He's still third on the team in scoring.
6 30-plus goal seasons in his career. Last season alone, 82 points in 75 games, so point-per-game player, 34 goals, 14.8 shooting percentage. This year, that dipped down a little bit, down to 11-1, but still 29 points in 34 games this year. The production is still clearly there, and the role that Tarasenko can fill for a team as your go-to shooter, definitely someone who you would want to add before the playoffs. That said, given the injury history, I think that takes his trade value down a little bit. Also that he's a winger. So I was going to say between the two, I think O'Reilly has the higher trade value just by virtue of being a center, being as good as he is in the faceoff dot. The trade value is certainly higher for O'Reilly between the two, but I think teams would be foolish if they didn't come knocking and try and add to a roster. Let's even take it one step further. What teams do you think might be in the mix for either of those two, without going too deep into cap situations and how you make the money work?
Yeah.
Who do you think would be well poised to try and make a move for either of those two?
Outside of cap situations, because I don't feel like looking that up and doing math right now. I would say, and it's actually going to be two completely different answers. So if we're talking Ryan O'Reilly and we say we move that, they get moved, or he gets moved.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously is that all-around player. He can score. He's gritty. He wins faceoffs. He plays defense. All-around player. Who needs all the defense they can get? from wherever that is.
I mean, I
For
would
my
say
money,
either if you go east, you go Toronto, and if you go west, you go Edmonton.
exactly.
I can see either of those.
Bingo, Yahtzee, 2 for 2.
I'm
It'd be
going to
one
throw
of
this
those
one
two.
out there for O'Reilly. I wouldn't hate him going to the New Jersey Devils.
So it's funny you say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
They were the third team in my mind, and they
Mhm.
were the only team in my mind that could get either Tarasenko or O'Reilly.
Yeah, New
That's for
Jersey,
scoring.
a young team that doesn't have playoff experience, um, almost universally across their roster. You've got a couple from Graves and from Dougie Hamilton, Vanacek, but really not a whole lot of playoff experience. You can add in a true leader like Ryan O'Reilly, and especially with what he
Conn Smythe
brings.
/ Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, with what he brings up the middle, that could be a very good fit. Not only that, but I think the Devils have the prospects in their system if they were to try and make a move. Um, they have really nailed it with some of their draft picks in recent years. And they do have some draft capital that they could throw out as well. So they've got first and second rounders in each of the next 2 years. If they want to get creative with the draft package, throw something together and get a deal done with St. Louis, I think that is about as perfect a landing spot as you could get for somebody like Ryan O'Reilly.
Exactly.
As for Tarasenko, that's a little tough. I'll let you go first on this one.
It is just because there's the lack of defense there. I mean, he's fine defensively, but like obviously compare him to Ryan O'Reilly, he's not defensive at all. That's why obviously you're going to need that on the teams that need a little bit of depth scoring because you can trade for Tarasenko and you're good enough to put him on your second line, and be pretty comfortable there. And that's where I would think. As much as they can, oh my God! See, now I'm selling myself on this. Wouldn't it be fun? Even though they don't have much of a problem scoring, they're super hot. But my God, wouldn't that really make Carolina an absolute just juggernaut?
Yeah, not to mention they've still got Pacioretty, who's going to be coming back from here soon too. Just go all in on the wagon and ride that thing till the wheels fall off. That's a very good contender if you put Tarasenko on Carolina.
Yeah.
I was looking for maybe one other team, and if you wanted to stay out west, a team that certainly could use them if they could figure out a way to make the money work for me is the Calgary Flames. Kind of lacking that go-to scorer without Gaudreau this year. Their goal differential is +2. But if you're looking for a move that's going to put you over the top and try and get somebody there that can, especially somebody who can complement Jonathan Huberdeau, I think that's a natural fit.
I got to throw something at you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna waste too much dead time trying to think of a trade package that might be feasible for you. But what if the Wild come a calling?
If the Wild were to make a move for either one, I think it would have to be O'Reilly. The Minnesota Wild have not had a true number one offensive center. Koivu is an elite shutdown defender, but the lack of the offensive upside keeps him from being considered as a true number one. Mm-hmm. Ryan O'Reilly could be a true number one. Now, can you re-sign him long-term? No. Given the Wild's cap situation, they wouldn't be able to do it. He would be a rental at best. So you can't give up a package of, like Marco Rossi and a first-round pick. You could not do something like that for O'Reilly. But depending how you wanted to make the move work, that would be, between those two, the one who I think would be a much better fit for the Wild. I like Tarasenko. I like what he brings as a scorer, and you can never have too many goal scorers on your team.
Hear me out. I'm going to make you melt for just a hot second, and I don't normally do this.
Okay.
Just imagine Foligno, Felino's the center, right?
No, Foligno plays wing.
Oh, he
Eriksson
doesn't
Ek
play.
is the center on that
Oh,
line.
all right. Well,
So
then
it's
fine.
Greenway, Eriksson Ek, and Foligno is how that line looks.
On Kaprizov's line, who's that center?
Oh, it's gone through a little bit of variance this year.
Okay.
Normally, it's Ryan Hartman.
Okay.
Um,
Whoever, just plug and chug a center, but just imagine Kaprizov on the left and Tarasenko on the right.
I almost think you move Zuccarello to center at that point, given the chemistry he has with Kaprizov. Try and see if you can get Zuccarello to play more or less up the middle.
The fellow statesman or fellow
Here.
countrymen on their left and right, respectively.
That would be nuts.
Your offense might.
Yeah, Sam Steele is the other center who's been playing on that line.
You mean secret agent Sam Steele?
Secret agent man.
Yeah.
Joel, let's get into Wednesday night picks.
Man.
Did not have a good go of things last week.
What else is new?
Well, but here's the real kicker. Despite going 2-5, you still had the better week. I was 1-6.
Yeah. Before we get into this season more than most has been so weird.
Totally unpredictable.
Like,
we're trying the best we can here, but
exactly. Like, at this point, I don't think I have shame. Like, I had that offer not too long ago. Like, what do you want from me when I'm betting? I'm betting stuff like, the Lightning are going to beat Montreal and Montreal wins in a shootout or something like that. Like, it's like, what's happening?
Here's the couple of the ones that we missed. Okay. We took Chicago at home over Nashville, dead. We took Colorado to win by 2. They needed a shootout to beat Montreal.
They lost that game, though, I thought.
No, they won.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
They did win, but it was in a shootout.
Right.
We both picked Tampa Bay to beat Detroit. Detroit wins that game 7-4.
I'm sorry, it was Detroit, not Montreal. Yes, 7-4.
So it's not like we're not using logic with our picks. It's just we're getting these ridiculous outcomes that
isn't that why you
make
just
it
love hockey?
Yeah,
just
that's why we love the game.
Yeah, like anything can happen. Anything can literally happen. The Arizona Coyotes can beat the Carolina Hurricanes at some point in time.
They can beat Toronto. Every time we've had that matchup on Wednesday night picks, it's been Arizona.
Except the one time that I decided to try and pick it, but
that wasn't against Toronto.
I thought it was.
No, you picked Arizona for the bid against somebody else.
Oh, well.
That's the trick. It's got to be against Toronto.
Yeah.
I think we learned that. Speaking of things we're learning, let's learn where your pick is at for tomorrow night. New Jersey Devils -155 at Detroit Red Wings +135.
We're talking about it too, and it's like this seems so obvious, but I don't even know anymore, man. I don't know what to do anymore. With that being said, oh wow, they're actually very similar right now in their last 10. The Devils are still hot. They've proven enough to me. I got to go the Devils, even though they're not at home. And actually, how's their away record? Oh my, okay, yeah, no, I'm definitely taking the Devils.
Yeah,
the Devils are a lovely 13-2-1 on the road.
Yeah, they're getting it done wherever they play. Which I that they're 10-9-2 at home. Right. So they technically have a losing home record, but 13-2-1 on the road.
Dominant road record. Exactly. So give me the Devils.
Yeah, I'm with you here on the Devils too. Neither of these teams is in action tonight. That's not the case with all the teams that we have for tomorrow's games.
Yep.
But New Jersey entering tomorrow night, having struggled in recent weeks, 2-6-2 in their last 10. So I understand why there's some lean for Detroit. Detroit slightly better at 3-5-2 in their last 10. But Devils are a streaky team. And I think this is where they can really turn things around and put a nice little win streak together here. By the way, do you know who has the longest current active win streak in the NHL? Without looking.
Wait, like active as in it's currently going
right
now?
Currently, yeah. Who has the longest current win streak in the NHL right now?
I thought.
You mentioned them earlier in the show.
Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carolina is on a casual 11-game win streak. No big deal.
No big deal.
Jinx,
They're in
you owe me a
juggernaut.
Coke.
They're in juggernaut, man. We knew it going in.
Yeah, I'm with you here. The Detroit Red Wings might hang around, keep it close, but New Jersey, the better team. Detroit going through some weird stuff right now too with their injury situation. They've got some guys who are coming back, but then we should mention this as well: the Jacob Verana situation, where Verana has been in the player assistance program for most of the season. Went to the Grand Rapids Griffins on a conditioning stint, and then today was put on waivers. So I'm not sure what really to make of that. Just a weird situation there. But Detroit, I think we're going to find out over the next 2-3 weeks, like, is this team legit? Are they going to be contenders, or are they still kind of 1 year away and need to let the guys develop one more year before going? But New Jersey, to me, they're ready. They're a playoff team. I think New Jersey takes this one.
Yeah.
Second game of the night, another money line game here. Tampa Bay Lightning plus 100 at the Minnesota Wild minus 120. Joel, who you got?
That's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that could really go either way. You guys are 8-2-0 in your last 10. Well done.
And so is Tampa Bay.
And so is Tampa Bay. 3-game win streak to you just won your last one.
Yeah, bounce back after a clunker against the San Jose Sharks. They beat.
Hey, Anaheim. We beat them. Oh no, we didn't. No, we didn't. We lost.
Beat Anaheim 4-1 one night, and then lost to San Jose on the next night 4-1. Rebounded with a win against the Blues. But yeah, not great.
Blues are currently beating Toronto right now 2-1 as well.
Nobody loses games that they really should win more than Toronto.
Seriously. And I bet them in a parlay tonight too. That's probably down
peachy.
the drain.
But yeah, Tampa Bay and Minnesota. Who do you got in this one?
You guys are at home, right?
Minnesota is at home, and also Tampa Bay, I think, is playing tonight. Maybe, let me check.
They are. They're playing us.
Yeah, playing Chicago. So there you go.
Well, we're not really gonna exert much effort, but
again, momentum going in.
Momentum going in. They're clearly on a little Midwest road trip as well. I got to go with the Wild. The Wild play well at home. And Tampa has been so up and down all over the place. They'll get the job done tonight and get a win, but that will then mean tomorrow, they'll be feeling themselves a little bit, and I think you guys will end up taking advantage.
I certainly hope so. I'm going to go Minnesota Wild as well here.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick against my team in this one. I can't do it.
You never do.
I very, very rarely do. I think I have once in the history of the show. It's rare. I'm going Wild. Let's see if we get anything different on this one. Dallas Stars minus 1.5 goals at plus 130 at the Anaheim Ducks plus 1.5. Joel, Anaheim has just been so bad this year. 10-24-4, and you can count on one hand the number of wins that they've had in regulation.
Without looking, well, you probably were just looking. Do you know their goal differential?
I don't. I really don't.
Do you want to take a guess?
Not really.
No, neither would they.
But for what it's worth, the Ducks have won 3 regulation games this year.
They are 10-24-4. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you said that, yeah.
3.
Yeah, so their goal differential.
It's got to be minus. Oh, boy. Let's go.
I will also give the fun tidbit that the Hawks are still worse than them in the standings. They are dead last in the league, and they still have a better goal differential by, if I can do math, 12 goals.
Let's get goofy with it. Minus 69.
Well done. Yes. So close. Minus 70.
I'll take that.
That was pretty close.
I'll take that for a throwaway guess. I'll take it.
Pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah, that is absolutely worse than the league.
Yeah, they've missed some time. John Gibson has been out. He's back now, but still has not been anywhere near the level that we've kind of come to expect. He's kind of come back down to earth the last couple of years too, and whether that's a product of the team, whether that's a product of him, truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But Gibson 6-16-3 on the season, 897 save percentage, 398 goals against average.
Oof.
Yeah, not good, not great, Bob.
Nope. And I'm assuming we're going the same way here. I am absolutely taking the Stars at -1.5.
Yeah, I think once again we have a rare scenario where all three of our picks are the same.
Is there only 3 tomorrow night?
Yep, only 3 games tomorrow night, unfortunately. So,
Okay.
we're both taking the Dallas Stars, both taking the Minnesota Wild, and both taking the New Jersey Devils.
I feel good about those, but you know what? Here's the thing. Felt good about the other ones too.
Yeah, that's the thing is last week, 2 weeks ago, really, 7 games on the docket. And Joel, you went 2-5, and I went 1-6. And I'm going to pop our season numbers back up there. So, again, our all-time records, not too bad. But this season, I'm at 500. You're under 500. It's been such a weird year. But second half of the season, that's where things are going to turn around, just like what we had last year.
Yeah, we'll see. And then, for all we know, Anaheim could beat Dallas tomorrow 5-1. All right, let's be in.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Entirely, yeah.
If that happens, I will Venmo you 5 cents.
Say that again.
If the Ducks win tomorrow by more than 1 goal, more than 2 goals, I will Venmo you 5 cents.
Okay.
So it's got to be 4-1 type of deal.
Fair enough. 2 minutes for roughing. I don't know. I don't have a lot that I'm particularly mad at this week. Do you have one in the hopper that just to go with here?
I'm not mad about anything. I mean, I guess I am. Saw stuff, but I mean, I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm not pissed about anything that, I feel like, going crazy ranting about. We don't really there's COVID related stuff I could think of, but we don't usually go that route.
That's not our type of show.
Not our forte. I also don't give a shit that much.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Do we call this one our first ever penalty free night?
I think we can do that because it's probably in good taste to no penalty tonight, because obviously there's the one topic we didn't bring up that obviously is the number one sports topic, in the U.S. right now, and that's Damar Hamlin and that just horrific scene last night. Unfortunately, we still don't have an update either, other than they confirmed he, went into cardiac arrest. For those who didn't watch it, Bengals playing the Bills last night, one of the if not the most anticipated game of the season. And, not even, barely 8 minutes into the first quarter. Pretty standard looking tackle. There was nothing crazy about it or anything. And, everybody gets up like normal, and then Hamlin collapses, and it was a scary scene. Yeah, I think we can go penalty free and just kind of bring that up. And I mean, it's horrible. I mean, thoughts and prayers out to him and his family. And I really just hope that, we get some, we don't matter in this, because I hope his family and his teammates, on the Bills, and also, even the Bengals too. I hope they get some, they, along with us, get some good news coming here soon. Yeah, it was, That is something we're not really used to seeing, and we don't really know. No one really knows how to react when
No,
that shit
and
happens.
I think there are a couple of instances in hockey where we've had cardiac events during the game.
Yep.
I think of Jay Bomeister and I think of Rich
Rich
Peverly as
Beverly,
examples of that, where um, just a very scary situation,
Chris Pronger as well.
mhm. And I thought Booger McFarland had a really good comment on it last night that
Him and
you're
Ryan Clark were
they,
just
they were
on
phenomenal.
point.
I thought the way everybody handled the coverage of it was excellent.
Yeah.
But he brought up a really good point that as athletes and especially as football players, it's a violent sport, and you're used to seeing, um, broken bones or concussions or tornadoes, whatever.
Mhm.
Um,
While those
you're
are
used to
bad,
seeing and not to take away from
totally
how bad
different.
those can be,
Mhm.
um, but you're not trained to deal with literal life or death situation on the field.
No.
That's not something that you prepare for. That's not something that you can just pack up and move on from. And somehow, amazingly, both of those teams are going to have to play again on Sunday. The Bills are going to have to move on with the season without their brother. There's no way that he's playing again this season. Frankly, by the sound of things right now, it'll be lucky if he walks onto a football field to wave hello to the fans and not even be in pads or a jersey.
Yeah.
It's one of the scariest things that I've ever seen in watching sports. That moment of realization when he tried to get up and was starting to walk and then went back down. And I'm glad that ESPN only showed that replay once. It didn't need to be replayed over and over and over again.
No.
Just a very scary situation. And I think the best way for us to end the show tonight is just to say that our thoughts and our prayers are with him and with the Bills players, with Hamlin's family, and just that we're hoping for a good outcome there. So
Yeah, it really brings to light. This is how it should be anyway. Like, there is no sport in this, hockey, football, whatever. There is no difference in sport. There is no team difference. And you know what?
Mhm.
This is topical. We were talking about how much I like to rip on the Blues and how much I despise the Blues, or how much you despise the Blackhawks. There is no rivalry. Like, when it comes to these players, you don't want to see. Hell, I don't want to see players get hurt. I don't want to see players tear their ACL. I don't want to see players break the ribs.
Right.
I don't want to see a Ryan Shazier thing with the Steelers. Like, I don't want to see any of that. I don't care. You're wearing a Blues jersey, you're wearing a Packers jersey, for me being a Chicago fan. Like, I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers have his legs snapped in half.
No.
Like, these are human beings, and this isn't a sport thing. This isn't a rivalry thing. This isn't a competitive thing. This is a humanity thing. Like, these guys, these guys, these girls, they are, sure, they're athletes, but they're humans first and foremost. They're living their dream. They're playing this sport to the best of their ability. They're going out there and giving their absolute all, and putting, as we see, they're putting their lives on the line at any moment. And the sports mean absolutely jack shit when it comes down to stuff like this.
Absolutely. And I think being in Cincinnati myself,
Right.
I haven't been living here very long, but just seeing the response from the city and from Bengals fans and the outpouring of support, that his GoFundMe that he originally set up and was
$4.5 million.
Yeah, he was looking for like 2,500.
The most, and that was his goal, and the most it had actually made was only like 1,500.
Yeah,
the goal was 2,500. Well, you're at 4.5 mil,
blown out of the water in support. It was really. I went to the store today because we ran out of coffee, and had to go to the store. And one of the electronic billboards on the north end of town had a pray for Damar Hamlin.
That's amazing
thing going through on their electronic billboard. So it just the support from everybody
And shout out to
is what it should be.
Yeah, and shout out to and I'm going to call them heroes, those EMTs,
Absolutely.
the medical staff at I forgot the name of the hospital.
UC Health. Yep.
UC Health, and like shout out to all of them, just acting fast, and shout out to the EMTs for obviously not only literally bringing him back to life. Like your heart stops, you died very briefly, bringing him back and getting him to at least critical condition and not anything worse, but then waiting a minute on the field to then have his mom come down from the stands and get into the ambulance with him, which that shook me. I ended up calling my mom about 2 minutes after I heard about that. Like that's a go hug your loved ones moment, or call them if you can't hug them at the current moment type of thing. Like life is short, and that's why you don't sweat the small stuff. We only get one of these, and crazy things can happen. So yeah, same sentiment, like thoughts, and I know it's the cliche, but seriously, like prayers up, thoughts out for for Hamlin's family, and God, I hope we all, especially his family and his teammates, get some really good news here in the very near future.
Yeah, we don't have too many updates on his condition, and it's really not our place to say anything about it, but that we haven't got news that things have gotten worse is encouraging.
Yeah.
And as you touched on, those medical personnel who are taking care of him, I mean, he's got some of the best of the best.
Yep.
He's in good hands, and a very capable medical team. So we're hoping for the best here. Good place to end the show tonight. Just wanted to make sure that we threw that in there. Yep, no penalties. We got away without a penalty tonight. No roughing here. That's it for tonight's show.
We got the Lady Bing trophy tonight.
Hey, there we go. We'll take that. That is it for tonight's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on Twitter at PodSnipeCelly. You can search us on Facebook. It's the same name there, PodSnipeCelly. We will be back next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern. Joel, what time is that Central?
6 o'clock Central.
Hit him with the 6. That's it for tonight's episode.
CST.
There we go. Central Standard Time.
Can confirm or deny if my Christmas tree will still be up in the background or not.
I can't confirm or deny whether or not I really do think Central Time is the best time zone.
Of course it is.
It is. He's Joel. I'm Dan. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.